Kate. Hi, Eli.
Hi, Ariana.
Hard questions, you better be prepared.
I know.
Do you get scared in horror movies?
Totally scared, but I'm totally addicted to them.
Yeah, me too. I get freaked out. If I have nightmares, I know it was a good movie. I want to be traumatized when I go see a scary movie.
That's good, because you're brave, but then you know that you're scared, but then you're brave at the same time.
Do you watch scary movies?
If I get jump scared, I'll make this little shriek, but you won't think that I'm that scared, but on the inside, I'm just ah!
Did you scream in House of the Clock and Its Walls?
Everybody who came with me, they were just we all just jumped, and I'm just Kate, what witch was your inspiration for this role?
Well, I'd read the book when I was probably your age, and the witch in the book is slightly different to this witch. So I felt like I was creating something new, like a witch who wears all purple, whose magic comes out of her umbrella, and whose magic is kind of broken. I felt like I was entering new territory.
Hello. You're Lewis, I presume.
There's fantasy horror, which is this, and so it's kind of scary and then kind of fantasy, and then there's horror movie where you pause it and you're just
Yes.
That's where the character's So, what drew you towards this type of thing?
Well, when I was your age, the movies that I saw in the theaters that were the most exciting movies were these films by this company, Amblin. And that was Steven Spielberg's company. And these are movies like E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yes,
and
I know those.
Gremlins was one. There's a film called Poltergeist, a movie called Time
Be
Bandits.
careful, that one you might,
Poltergeist
there's a
very
lot
scary.
of
Yeah,
jump
I'm
scares
good.
in that one.
I'm not gonna do Poltergeist
But
at
there's
the moment.
a
outside
weird movie
windows.
that's really fun and crazy called Time Bandits that I really loved.
I have never heard of it.
Oh,
I will
it's
make
so
sure to
it's
I will
Terry
make sure
Gilliam.
to look it
It's
up.
such a good movie. And they were these wild, crazy, fun movies. And a lot of my favorite directors, like the director who made Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, he started in horror movies and then went into fantasy. And Sam Raimi, who made Spider-Man, he started in horror and went into fantasy. So I always wanted to have a career like that. And I read the script and I just always wanted to do something this stylish and visual and really just something weird and fun.
What drew you towards this type of genre?
Well, I
wanting to do it?
I grew up on horror, so I've always loved being scared. But I have 4 kids, and I often go and see kids' films, and I think, okay, nap time, because either they're really teaching the kids a lesson, or they're made for the adults and the kids don't get the jokes. Whereas I read this and I thought, this is a chance for me to show my children the films that I loved growing up. And my 16-year-old's seen it, my 14-year-old's seen it, my 10-year-old's seen it, my 3-year-old hasn't seen it, probably not quite yet. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what
When
you
she's
think.
5, maybe.
But yeah. So I felt like it was kind of a homecoming for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of horror movies, but I think I would be okay if I was in one, because then I would know what would happen. Because then I would see
happens.
it coming. Because then I wouldn't be oh my God, if I'm watching it, but I know, if I'm in that scene, then I know that something's coming.
When we did the automaton scene, when we got carried off by the automatons, when I walked into that room, I was totally freaked out. All those doll faces, it was really scary.
Yeah, that was weird.
So creepy.
Eli, did you want to change a couple of scenes from the book, or did you want to keep them, all try and keep them the same?
Well, that's a good question. And when you take a book and you translate it into a movie, you really have to adapt it. And there are certain things that work great on the page and certain things that are just going to work better on screen. And Eric Kripke, our writer, who created the show Supernatural, it's his favorite book, and he adapted it. And I just have my own ideas. So when I read it, I go, okay, there's pumpkins, but what if they attack? And what if a pumpkin vomits all over Jack Black's face? And okay, there's a giant topiary griffin. What if it poops dead leaves? And then what if the chair and the griffin are fighting? And you just start thinking of crazier and crazier ideas. So you take the story and the script and the book as a base, but if you have an idea that works better for the movie, I'm there to make the best movie.
It worked very well.
Thank you.
So, if you're doing the actions and there's nothing there, what is it like? Because you're going and then there's nothing.
It's a little bit like what you just did.
Yes, that's what I thought.
There we go. I watch my kids. I had this experience with my 16-year-old when he was about 8, and he came in one day after school, and he sat down. And he went, oh, and I went, what's wrong, sweetheart? And he said, I'm so bored. I've finished fighting all my imaginary heroes. You know, and so it's literally like that. So sometimes in this movie, which was really great, is that we had a lot of the physical things there. The armchair was there, the armor was there, the window kept changing. So sometimes you didn't have to pretend at all because it was actually all there.
But there was one scene where Kate was fighting the pumpkins and she was holding 2 green strings, and I said, Kate,
That was weird.
I know every director tells you this, but watch out for the pumpkin vomit and then smash it with your head and then.
And so then
vines
Eli,
down.
I said, Eli, you've got to talk me through it.
And she's like, yep, this is me just acting, fighting pumpkin. Here we go. And she went for it. It was great.
Well, you did very well. It looks super duper real. So.
Yeah, no, I was lucky.
So what do you two love about this project?
You can read a good script and you can read a great book, but it completely depends on who you're working with. So when I knew Eli was going to direct it and Jack was going to be in it, I was there. Because it's who you play with that makes the thing fun.
And for me, I loved it because I love working with Kate and Jack and Owen. But what I love most about it is the message of embracing your weirdness.
Yes.
And that I think everybody tries to put on tone down all the things that make them weird so other people like them. It's something I certainly did as a kid. And the message of the film that once you kind of own your weirdness and accept your weirdness, that's when you're strong.
Lucky shot. How do you feel about scary movies?
Well, I'm scared of scary movies. I don't go to see a lot of scary movies for that reason. But I do like sometimes to be surprised in a scary movie.
Like being startled?
Exactly.
Yeah, I cannot hear. I have
What's
to
that?
cover
Can't-
my
what's
ears.
that?
I can't
What's that?
hear
Sorry, what's
and
that?
see it.
I'm sorry.
I can't see it and hear it at the same time. That just is like, ah!
I do the same thing. So I just close my eyes and then I'll look to the side and see what someone's doing. And that's kind of fun too because you see someone's face go, whoa, or the popcorn goes, whoa, like this. I like that.
All right, your character goes back in time. So if you could go back in time, what would you redo?
Wow, if I could go back in time, I would go back to the time of the pharaohs and I would hide something in one of the pyramids that people would find later from the future. And then they think about aliens and they think maybe that aliens made the pyramids because of something that they found in there. Like you could leave like a box of like popcorn or something in there. That would be pretty cool.
It's like popcorn.
Popcorn. They had popcorn. The aliens brought popcorn.
Yes.
And they built the pyramids.
So what do you enjoy most about this movie? I mean, it's a really good movie, but what do you think is the best part about this movie?
The best part in it is the character Isaac Izzard. He's like the greatest evil warlock ever to live. No, I'm just kidding. That's my character. I loved watching the work between Jack and Kate and Owen and how they created this little family and how they related to each other. And I thought that was so sweet and charming.
Yes. Okay, so you play like almost like a zombie. So
Right.
your
Some
face...
people say my acting is sort of like that sometimes, but never mind.
So your face looks totally different. So how long did it take to do that?
400 years to create that look. It was a long time. I was in the chair for about 4 hours of prosthetics. I know, it was
Wow.
crazy. They kind of streamlined it as we were going to about 3 hours, but they pulled on full latex pieces on me all the way through. They attached little hair on me. They spray painted me afterwards. It was pretty cool. I'd never done that.
Was the makeup uncomfortable? Because all my friends were just like, makeup is so uncomfortable. But was the makeup uncomfortable?
It wasn't too bad. I kind of got used to it. You do feel a little claustrophobic at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But I try to be like, I try to just sort of relax and let it sort of mold to my face. It wasn't too bad.
It looked very realistic.
That's
and you
good.
did very well,
Well, thank
playing
you.
a zombie.
That's very good. I'm glad you approved.
So what was it like working with all these famous actors like Cate Blanchett, Jack
Yeah.
Black, all these people?
Wow.
What was it like?
It was really cool, as you can imagine. Jack, I knew a little bit. I'm a big fan of Jack. I love Jack. He's so much fun. And Kate, I'd never met before, but I've always been a huge admirer of all her work. So that was really thrilling. It was really nice to meet her and to find out that she was really a nice person and really down to earth and really easy to talk to. It was really cool.
So when you there's a lot of surprises in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's startles and then there's like, oh no,
Yes, I
she
know.
did not just do that.
Right.
So how did
I like
it's
that.
like
Okay.
How did you feel about the different surprises?
Ooh, I like them. I like the different surprises. I like the unexpected. I like when things don't go the way you think it's going to go. And I like the magic. I like the magic in it. I like sort of the way Jack Black brought his magic up and the way Owen's character brought his magic up.
What did you like just about your character in general?
You know, I like the fact that he had like this fun side of him, so that he looked like this really evil, scary, creepy old dude, but you could see that he didn't really think of himself like that. He thought of himself that he was like kind of cool and suave and handsome and like still attractive, and I liked all that about him.
So what was it like doing it without the objects there? Like you're like,
Yeah,
die.
yeah.
And there's like
And there's nothing there.
nothing there.
I know, you're trying to make this
It's
thing
like
whole
you're
thing
being
up.
so rude to air.
Most of my stuff was there. Most of my stuff was there, and I like being rude to air most of the time. I had a couple times where I had to sort of imagine I was sort of conjuring something or making something up, but you just use your imagination.
Like, can you explain about the clock and why it's in the walls?
Right, and why it's in the walls.
Yeah.
So my character has created, built actually, this clock that exists within the walls of this house that needs to be set in motion by a magic key. And it's in the process of trying to create that key that my character dies and disappears until he's resurrected. And he comes back, and he wants to finish his work with that key. Once he has that key, he can set this clock in motion. And the clock resonates with the sound of this doomsday device. And the clock is hidden somewhere inside the house, which Jack Black is trying to find, which he does ultimately.
Which scene was hardest to film?
I had a scene where I'm supposed to be blown back, when this explosion happens, and they have to light my shoes on fire. So they had to put the stuff on the bottom of my shoes, and then they torch it up, and I sort of flames go up like this on the bottom of my shoes. That was not CGI, that was for real. I had a genuine hot foot. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Did it not feel good?
It wasn't too bad, actually. I didn't feel anything. It was okay.
Okay, that's good. As long
Yeah, it
as
was
you
good.
didn't like.
I know, like if they lit your shoes on fire, they would melt.
You might be the youngest journalist that I've ever met.
What are your thoughts on horror movies?
I've been a fan of horror movies since I was a little kid. I like to be scared, but I don't like to be too scared. Like, I don't like to have nightmares, but I like the thrill of like a monster or a creepy character. Those are fun to watch because it's kind of like going on a roller coaster. It's scary, but it's also fun.
Yeah. What about you?
I love horror movies, but I don't want to be traumatized.
Yes.
I like movies like this. They're so much fun because you go in and you're scared, but you walk out laughing, just like a roller coaster.
What do you feel about being startled? Like there's a difference between being creeped out and then startled in the movie.
Like a jump scare.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're spooky.
Dude, jump scares are just embarrassing for me because I'm such a scaredy-cat. When I get jump scared, I do make a shrieking sound and I do jump up, and everyone around me in the movie theater knows that I'm a scaredy-cat. That's a little embarrassing, but after it's over, I have a fun, goosebumpy thrill to it too.
So for me, if you're gonna scare me, you can scare me pretty easily, but you won't scare me that well. But if it's well thought out and you got a creepy mask on, I'm terrified.
Sometimes I feel like I can feel a jump scare coming, and I'll be like, oh.
I always turn down the volumes on my
Yeah, I
headphones.
can't
It's the
Yeah,
sound
hear it.
more than
Yes.
what you see.
Because if I see something pop out at me, I'm but I won't. But if I hear it, it's I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you
But
can
this
feel
is
it.
kind of embarrassing too. If you have to do this in an audience, then once again the people around you will be like, "Why is he plugging his ears? He's such a scaredy cat."
Well, I'm 9 3/4, so it's okay for me at a young age. It's everybody's just yeah, okay, yeah, he's young, it works.
I think my scream at being jump scared might be scarier than the scare itself. You know what I mean? If I'm like, ah! The people in front of me will be, I'm jump scared by that guy's jump scare.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have this little streak and be like,
that's what happens to me.
yes, it's
Wait, let's all three do a jump scare at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
How is this role different from your other roles?
For me, it was the first time that I had magic powers, and that was cool. I was able to do this and create a ball of energy. I'm passing it to you now.
Oh, I got it. I'm gonna split it into 3.
And I'll just juggle them, and I'll stop, and I'll eat one.
Can I have one?
Only one.
Okay, is it yummy?
It's delicious.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Do you want it?
Sure. Oh my God, it's really hot. Oh, that is good. It tastes like vanilla.
hot vanilla.
Yes, it does. So this movie's about magic, and I have a magic trick to show you people.
All right. Whoa!
Yes.
Whoa!
It's very scary.
Your
I know.
thumb!
Yes.
Should
I
we
know.
go to the
It's
doctor?
gone.
Is there
It's
a
gone.
doctor in the house?
It's gone. It's gone. It's so painful.
It's amazing how there's no blood, though.
What personality traits do you share with your character?
I do improv, and I bet Lewis doesn't.
Right.
I'm one of those people.
You had more of a challenge. You're not shy like Lewis. You had more of a challenge to inhabit your character.
I used to be.
Yeah, well then there it is. Am I like my character? Yes, I am like Jonathan Barnevelt. Not that I know magic or warlockery at all, or play saxophone. I am a musician, so even though I don't play saxophone, I do play guitar. So both of us have a love for music and for like doing stuff that's odd and strange and outside the normal.
Oh, God.
Okay. What warlock was your inspiration for this role?
I don't think that I was really thinking of other warlocks that have warlocked in the past. I was just creating my own. It was my own inspiration, just from my imagination.
I was just wondering because before I watched this movie, I like never heard of a warlock. So I was just
Yeah.
wondering if you knew anybody that you just like you tried to like work off of.
There's not a lot of warlocks in movies or TV.
Yeah.
It's mostly witches. You know,
Yes.
it's usually, and a lot of people don't even know that there are male witches, and they're called warlocks.
I honestly thought that would be a wizard. So
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
Yeah. What's the difference between a warlock and a wizard? Good question. Very good question.
I'm gonna find that out for all of us.
I'm gonna ask Questlove. He probably knows the answer.
Okay. What was it like doing all these actions, like the fighting the dolls that came alive and all that stuff without the special effects? You're just like taking this bat, you're just like, so nothing there.
I've got a fun story about that one. When I was with when you were working on the key to go into the door.
Yeah.
Kate and I were behind you with the griffin, but there was no griffin there. So when the griffin was coming at us, we didn't know when to stop screaming. So we were just like, ah! And just it stayed there, and then we couldn't hear them say cut.
Oh man. Yeah. There was a lot of that in this movie because there were so many cool special effects. We had to be imagining stuff that was there all the time. My favorite was probably the pumpkins when we were fighting, well, all three of us back to back to back. And we're like, no, stop!
I think we filmed that on Halloween.
I think I burned a lot of calories. It felt like really good exercise fighting invisible pumpkins.
What scene was your favorite scene to film?
Automatons. I got to go on wires.
Automatons were cool. That was fun. Well, I don't want to give away any spoiler alerts, but the ending was cool.
Oh, the ending
Let's
was
just
fun.
leave it at that. Don't say any
I'm not
details.
going to.
The ending was cool.
Yes. Which scene do you think was the most like hardest to film?
The one where Lewis was saying sorry about everything because I had to cry in that scene.
That was really intense emotionally. It's always hardest when you have to cry because you have to like think of like a sad thing. I agree with you. High five.
The ticking